Welcome to Ni No Kuni, one of the hidden gems of the PS3 era, made by the developers of hit games such as Rogue Galaxy, White Knight Chronicles, and everyone's favorite, Ni No Kuni 2. Ni No Kuni manages to capture the charm of a Studio Ghibli movie with things like character death, adorable characters, hand-drawn animations, did I mention character death? Plus it makes for a great speedrun, or at least the PS3 version does. Sorry to anyone who wants to learn a PS4 or PC version, but those versions suck for speedrunning. Watch how speedrunners tackle this 44-hour RPG and beat it in just 5.5 hours thanks to the many tricks we have to skip encounters, careful planning around boss mechanics, as well as a PS3 exclusive glitch that managed to turn what was an otherwise terrible speedrun into a very fun one with no more RNG bottlenecks. This is part 1 of the Ni No Kuni 1 speedrun. The game starts off with Oliver, who goes on a joyride with his friend Phil's car. But because Phil's an unlicensed mechanic, his toy car falls apart like a Tesla and Oliver ends up driving into a river where he nearly drowns. Oliver's mom comes rushing in and saves him, but then she gets a heart attack and dies. Rest in peace, Oliver's mom. If only you taught Oliver how to swim. Oliver gets depressed and starts crying, which causes his doll to come to life. The doll calls himself Drippy and he gets us a magical tome called the Wizard's Companion, which was hidden in the fireplace. It also doesn't catch on fire because, well, it's a magical book. Wouldn't be so magical if it could catch on fire now, would it? Drippy then tells us to go find something to use as a magic wand. Something brown and sticky. Like the stick. We then go into town square in front of all these normies to conjure up this magical gateway which no one else can see, to travel all the way to this magical world where we must meet the king of Ding Dong Dell. Unfortunately, the evil Jin Chadar stole a piece of the guard's heart, so he's now broken-hearted. So we must travel to the deep dark wood to find a way to fix his heart. On the way to the deep dark wood, runners will collect 2 cakes, a spring water, a well-worn sword, and an iced coffee. Inside deep dark wood, we meet Old Father Oak, who gives us our first familiar, Mighty, who will be the backbone of a few fights. He also teaches us the healing touch and fireball spells, with fireball being a very important spell for the early game. Instead of random encounters, Ni No Kuni has monsters in the overworld which engage in combat as soon as they touch us, and the monsters in dungeons are really fast. So to get around some of them, we'll be using the Gateway spell in an unconventional way. You see, at this point in the game, if we try to cast Gateway anywhere, Drippy will yell at us saying, "Oi, where the bloody hell do you think you're going?" Which makes Oliver and all the monsters stop moving. However, Oliver regains movement faster than monsters, which we can abuse to run past them. This method is extremely slow, but it's still faster than getting into combat. But don't worry, we'll be getting much better ways of skipping encounters soon enough. In the deepest depths of the woods, we'll encounter the Guardian of the Woods who's been on a rampage lately, so we'll help Old Father Oak calm him down. One disclaimer about these boss graphics I made. Last time with Final Fantasy IV, I made them while consulting the official Japanese guide, which is likely very accurate, but I only have the Prima guide for Ni No Kuni, which does contain some glaringly obvious mistakes here and there, so there may be mistakes with the boss data, but unfortunately unless someone can data mine the actual values or find a more accurate guide, this is the most accurate data to be found. With that said, this boss is weak to fire, so we'll have Oliver cast a quick fireball at the start to do damage and target the boss. We'll then run all the way up and counter the boss, which stuns him and has a chance of giving blue glims to restore MP. When a boss uses a normal attack, there will be a brief moment where your attack button will turn blue. Selecting attack during that brief moment counters the boss, stunning them and giving you a chance for glims. While it's not a requirement to counter any bosses for the sake of the speedrun, it's a minor optimization as you stop the boss from attacking, as well as getting a decent chance for some extra blue glims for casting more magic. Also, you can only counter a boss while targeting them. If I simply run up and try to counter at the start, it won't work as I have no target by default. We'll continue casting Fireball with Oliver until he is out of MP, after which we'll swap over to Mighty to attack. A gold glim is scripted to appear in this fight, which we'll grab and use with either Oliver or Mighty to deal some massive damage to end the fight. After calming down the Guardian, we'll return to Old Father Oak, who teaches us the Take Heart and Give Heart spells, which we'll need for curing brokenheartedness. On the way back to Ding Dong Dell, we'll pick up another Spring Water and 2 Plains Words. We could do this earlier, but we now have access to the gateway trick to skip encounters unlike before. Back at Ding Dong Dell's gates, we'll take some enthusiasm from this guard and give it to the broken-hearted one to cure him, granting us entrance to Ding Dong Dell. Everyone makes fun of Oliver's clothes, so we'll go get a new set of clothes for him and then go meet the king. But we're told the guards are busy searching for his pet fish, so we'll have to find them before we can meet King Tom, as well as getting some enthusiasm to cure his brokenheartedness later. During all this, we'll also do some side quests along the way. We'll help this cat lady find her missing earrings, heal the 3 kids playing hide and seek, and give this other cat lady 2 plainswords and 2 bottles of spring water. We'll also sell off most of our items to buy 1 poison bee gone, 2 iced coffees, and 7 to 8 bumbler honeys. After all is said and done, King Tom disappears, so we'll head to Motorville and find out why through his soulmates, which in the context of Ni No Kuni is his real-world counterpart, who is Aunt Layla's pet cat Timmy Toldrum. We find out that Timmy went to chase after a rat. Armed with this knowledge, we'll return to the other world and break into Ding Dong Dell's Ding Dong Well to chase after the king. At the entrance, we also get another familiar, Lamal, who is atrociously weak. We'll encounter a few enemies at the entrance, and in this fight, we'll make sure to use up the Poison Be Gone before killing all the monsters. Now, for what is the most important trick in the game, we'll get in combat again, but this time we'll just have Oliver die and restart from the autosave. Doing so will send us back to the entrance, but with 10 ice copies instead of the 5 we had before. This is a duplication glitch. It's a very complicated glitch, but this glitch is what made the speedrun go from a garbage speedrun with a very high chance of dying 3 hours in due purely to luck, to a speedrun that's still difficult to pull off but no longer has any RNG bottlenecks that can kill the run. I'll explain more about the duplication glitch in the future when we get to the big duplication section of the run. For now, just know that I'm limited to duplicating once. I cannot duplicate any more iced copies, so we only have 10 to use in this section. Ding Dong Well is the absolute worst dungeon of them all because we no longer have access to the gateway trick, so we'll have to dodge encounters manually, and this game definitely does not make it easy to skip encounters thanks to the tight hallways and fast enemies. At the end of the dungeon, we see Tom and Jerry here going at it with their usual shenanigans. And of course, as usual, Jerry wins, so we'll have to help Tom beat that filthy rat. The boss's real name is Hickory Dock, and just like the Guardian of the Woods, he's weak to fire, so we're going to just spam fireballs the entire time and counter whenever possible. When the boss uses mouse fire, there's a chance for it to backfire, which will deal damage and stun him for a few seconds. Unfortunately, there's no way to control this, but it is very helpful to have happen in this fight. After a while, he'll use Tailspin, which inflicts confusion, so we'll quickly swap over to Lamal, who's immune to it. Not a thought to be found in that head. We really want blue glims to appear in this fight so we can continue to cast fireballs. We can use the iced copies, but we need to ration them out for the next 4 bosses, so ideally we don't waste too many of them. Once the boss is down, we'll return to the throne room where King Tom gives us a shiny new wand. And we're told to head to Mamoon, but before we embark on our journey, we'll go take some enthusiasm from this big guy here and give it to this oppressed guy by the bridge. Then we'll take some enthusiasm from this cat and give it to the lady here to fill out our first merit card. This leads to the question I posted yesterday: which merit award do runners grab first? Jackpot gives a higher chance for green and blue glims. While that would be nice, it's too expensive. Jack in the Box is also too expensive, but while it may sound useful since it makes it harder for enemies to see us, it's actually useless because we'll have better and better ways to skip encounters. Jack Be Nimble boosts speed by about 40%, which is a lot, and a reason why we'll be grabbing it later, but we'll be getting Jumping Jack instead. This skill lets you jump. Yes, that's literally it, you can jump now. Amazing. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds stupid. Or maybe you're thinking we're going to do some crazy out-of-bounds glitch somewhere, but nope. It's like 10% faster to jump than to run, but we do have one other trick up our sleeves soon. So good job to everyone who picked Jumping Jack. Here's some iced coffee. It's Subscribe brand. Sounds fancy. Before leaving town, we'll go talk to this dapper gentleman at the entrance and help him find his diary, which somehow ended up all the way here in the middle of this island, which gives us another 3 stamps. Now we can finally hop, skip, and jump our way to the Golden Grove, where we can see how powerful Jumping Jack is. Remember how the gateway trick made Oliver and all monsters stop moving, but made Oliver regain movement faster? We'll be doing something similar with Jumping Jack. When you open a menu like the spell menu, everyone stops moving, but you don't get a movement advantage. By jumping and pausing the game with either the spell menu or the regular menu, Oliver doesn't suddenly stop moving. His momentum gets preserved, so we can jump past monsters while constantly stopping their movements. Along the way to the boss, we'll get another familiar, Sid, as well as a Hoarfrost Harpoon. At the end of the grove, we'll find a dried up spring and encounter the Guardian of the Grove, the Gladiator. The fight starts the same as usual with a quick fireball into a counter. As the dads will spam our newest spell, Frostbite, with Oliver. Unfortunately, we have no way to deal storm damage to take advantage of his weakness, but Frostbite is still a stronger spell than Fireball. We only use Fireball at the start because it has a much shorter delay after casting, so it's needed for the counter. If Gladiator uses Everblade, we'll have to defend, but any other skills we'll just avoid by going out of the way. Again, we're praying for blue glims to drop, which in this case I was very lucky to get a bunch to save on iced coffees. Halfway through the fight, Gladiator will throw his sword and shield away and become even more aggressive than ever. We'll keep spamming Frostbite and then defend when he uses Headlong Rush, which causes Drippy to throw the boss's shield back at him to stun him. You can use this time to attack with Mighty in hopes for some blue or gold glims to drop and kill him with either Frostbite or Oliver's Burning Hearts. The Gladiator calms down and leaves, so we'll fix the spring that Shadar dried up before heading to Mamoon, all the way in the desert where we meet the great Babana seller, Rashad. Rashad used to be a world-famous sage, but ever since Shadar stole a piece of his daughter Esther's heart, he quit and is now living as a world-famous Babana seller, Rashad, here with his world-famous organic, homegrown, non-GMO vegan Babanas. We need the old Rashad back though, so we'll have to fix his daughter's heart. Esther's not just broken-hearted though, her heart's also locked up, so we'll have to go back to Motorville to find her soulmate, who happens to be Starry Mary. We break into her home and try to get her to touch some grass, but she refuses, so we have to help her with some family troubles. We go to the garage where her dad works and find her dad, Rusty, who's also Rashad's soulmate because, you know, he's Esther's soulmate's dad, and find out that he's not only broken-hearted, but also he's been taken over by Nightmare. So we'll have to defeat it first before we can fix his broken heart. Rusty's Nightmare starts with the usual fireball to counter combo. We'll continue spamming Frostbite and countering as needed, hoping you get a lot of blue glims or even a gold glim as we go. If you get lucky in the earlier fights, you'll have plenty of coffees to spare here as well, so feel free to use them. When the boss uses hard hearts, we'll just have Oliver defend. After a very long and drawn out battle, we'll fix Rusty's broken heart by taking some kindness from his wife and giving it to him. We'll then go find Starry Mary and finally have her come out of her room, which gives her a huge burst of courage, which we'll take and give to Esther to fix her broken hearts, leading to Esther joining the party. Plus her dad's going to join as our tour guide as we make our way to the Colosseum, but that will have to wait until next week.